Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, I had plans today to go ride some trails and do some cool filming on my Ripmo AF, but I came across a pretty gnarly crash, and you might not know this about me unless you've watched one of my older videos. I'm actually a bike medic, a volunteer. I used to be part of the National Mountain Bike Patrol that IMBA had, and that's been disbanded, and so we started a local group called the Twin Cities Mountain Bike Patrol, pretty much the same purpose as the National Mountain Bike Patrol was, and I'm president of that organization, and we do medical support for a lot of events. So I have the medical experience and when I came across this scene, I was the only first responder, so I went down to help out and found this kid laying on the ground. Kid to me, he's like 23 years old. After the tabletop, immediately noticing both of his forearms were snapped. Like literally, he did have a watch on and it was snapped just above his watch and the bone was sticking out right there. And then his other wrist was all deformed, or not wrist, but forearm. And pretty serious injuries. So there really wasn't much I could do because I wasn't in medical support mode. I was just out riding, you know, trying to film for my YouTube channel. And so I wasn't equipped to do splinting and handle that situation, but I did control the scene. We got EMS on the way. I checked him over for other injuries to see if he was okay, and he was. He still had feeling in his fingers, all that stuff. So that's just stuff I've been trained to do, and the biggest thing is to not move him, to make sure we didn't cause any worse damage to his wrist until the EMS people with the proper equipment could get in there and help him out. So one of the things I want to talk about, though, is the seriousness of what we do. Going off of jumps on bicycles is risky business. It's not something to be taken lightly. And what I found out by looking at this scene is that this kid was riding a department store bike. It was a Schwinn, and I'll show you the image right here while I'm talking. And you can see the Schwinn, rear wheels tacoed. This thing, when I picked it up, weighed about, I'd say almost 50 pounds. The brakes are V brakes, which are pretty much obsolete, especially on mountain bikes. And they don't have any modulation. They're really grabby. And it has, I mean, just look at the fork on this thing. The fork is just terrible. Like, I don't know how much travel is on that thing. 60 millimeters, maybe 80. And I'm sure it just has a spring and just compresses right away. I actually saw a video that somebody was doing with a cheap Walmart bike. And when they landed off of a jump, you could hear the tire buzz because the fork completely compressed and the tire was hitting the brace somehow. And I was like, you know, if he landed any harder, the wheel's just gonna stop and lock up. So I don't know why this kid crashed. He could have gone off because a lot of people that don't know how to properly jump, they don't pull up the front wheel and do kind of like that bunny hop, pump and bunny hop off the lip. They go in the back end kicks and they end up endoing. And that could have happened, but had he had a proper bike with a, you know, slacker head tube and a higher travel fork, the fork could have saved him, because I know I've kind of endoed sometimes and the bike saves me because it's got a lot of extra travel and it doesn't just compress all the way to the bottom super easy. And so if the fork compresses down really easy, that's going to dive the front end and cause you to even endo more. He could have panicked. Maybe he had his finger on the brake and grabbed the brake. Super grabby V-brakes. There's lots of things that could have happened. I didn't see the crash. Or, like I said, maybe because it's such a crappy fork that when he landed, it locked the front wheel because the fork compressed all the way. Any of these scenarios could happen, but where I get frustrated is that I see these people riding these bikes that aren't equipped for the kind of trails they're riding, and certainly not equipped for taking these large tables. I mean, the line he was riding was the biggest line of the three with the biggest jumps, and I just don't, understand why anybody would just huck themselves off a big table like that without some previous experience. So just a warning to you and to people that watch my channel and you see me going off of jumps. I mean, I started riding BMX in 1980. I've been doing this a long time. All these other people you see out on YouTube doing this stuff, they're either professionals or they're just experienced like me and, wanting to, provide you content and cool things. But we certainly don't promote that you just go out there, grab whatever bike you have hanging in the garage and huck yourself off of big tabletops. It's just not the smart thing to do. There's a progression and you need the appropriate equipment. And I'm going to point that out right here. If you buy a bike at Walmart or Target or one of these sporting stores like Dick's or whatever, the bike is not equipped to handle going off jumps, period. I don't care what anybody wants to say about, oh, I don't have enough money or whatever. Well, I see these kids with these, $1,000 iPhones, and then they got a $150 bike. Like, if you're going to do this kind of stuff, you got to have the right equipment, and it's worth spending the money on that equipment. So, the price point, if you're getting into BMX, the least expensive BMX bike you should be buying if you're going to go off of jumps and get serious about it is like $350, $400 and up. Anything below that, it's just not able to really handle what we're doing in these videos. A 26-inch DJ bike, I would say $550, $600 and up. And this is just retail prices, not something that you find on sale. And certainly you can find some good stuff that's used, but if you buy something used, you need to have it taken to a bike shop and inspect it and make sure nothing's cracked or something's already wrong with it. And then when we go to mountain bikes for like hardtails, $800 to $1,000 and up minimum. And when you get into full suspension, easily $1,500, $2,000 and up to have a bike that's capable of handling these jumps. And I would even go higher than that when it comes to full suspension, because the suspension itself is really important to work properly for doing jumps and things like that. The Ripmo AF that I'm riding, which is their entry level of that bike, was $3,000. Just kind of a ballpark price, but for modern good full suspension bikes, $3,000 is kind of that entry point of good equipment. So sorry to be negative on my channel, but I'm very passionate about this sport, and I'm also passionate about people's well-being and their health. Otherwise I wouldn't be a bike medic. And I think it's really important that I and even some of these other riders out there get the message out there to take baby steps. It's a progression and a learning process. Don't grab whatever bike you got hanging in the garage and go out to some trail and start hucking yourself off of big jumps, unless you got a lot of experience doing it. And for you older guys, there's a lot of guys that used to ride BMX and used to do these things, and they took a break from it for 15, 20 years, and then they get a bike, and the first thing they want to do is go out there and do the stuff they did 15, 20 years ago. Don't do that. Take baby steps. This is serious business. You can get seriously hurt. You can get paralyzed. I actually helped with a legal case in the probably late 2000s, because I was a jump builder and stuff. They sent me to Seattle, Washington to look at some trails and some jumps and determine whether it was the jump that would have caused this person to get paralyzed. And I determined that it wasn't. It was this guy, you know, I saw videos. This guy was not equipped to be going over, and it was a double jump, not a tabletop. And he flipped over, landed on his head, and paralyzed himself. So this is serious business. I'm going to continue doing my channel. I love doing it, going off of jumps, but I think I'm going to have a little more of a message for a lot of people that, you know, we've been doing this a long time. So don't go out there and wreck yourself. And I love doing my EMS volunteering. I love helping people. But when I do my volunteering or when I'm out on the trail, I'd rather not have to use those skills. I'm much happier not using them. I'm glad I have them so I can help in situations like this. But that doesn't mean that I'm out there wanting to use these skills, if that makes any sense whatsoever. All right, this is a long video. It's kind of ranty, but I wanted to get it out there because it's an important message. Thanks a lot for watching. I got some cool videos coming up. I'm going to start doing how-tos again now that my knee is getting a lot better. And, you know, how-tos are kind of fun. It's one of the things I'm passionate about. And I feel like I have a unique approach over some of these other videos that I watch where I don't feel like there's a whole lot of describing going on. Subscribe. Like this video if you want. You don't have to like this one, but definitely comment. This is a good video to post your comments so we can talk about this very subject. Thanks for watching. Oh, God, that's sketchy at the end there.